The Dimer Sports Betting Podcast is back. It's Greg and Dave, as always. We've got baseball rolling right now, Dave, and if my team could win a game, it would make me very happy. How are you, my friend?
I'm all right. How are the Tigers actually doing? I'm not even across.
Well, we had this feel-good Justin Verlander in a Tigers jersey for the first time in 8 years moment, and then he got rocked. And we followed that up last night by blowing a 5-0 lead and losing 7-5 in the 8th inning. So things have been better, but we got Scooble on the hill tonight. We'll see if that gets us right.
Yeah, I got your boy Riley Green for an RBI today. I was doing a little research on some MLB hitters for a Dimers article, and I did notice not a lot of mashing in that lineup right now. So the surprising guys, it's McGonigal and Colt Keith who are picking up the hits. You're gonna need the heart of that order, Kerry Carpenter and Torque Daddy, and all of them to show up pretty soon. I want to talk to you, Greg, about how we are 2 collective wins away from a UConn Michigan championship right here. I was watching that game in New York City at 2 different sports bars, one half at one and one half at the other. And it was quite a time. I was just watching it. Trying to think back about how that comeback happened. And it is hard to even remember it. All of a sudden, it's a close game with 4 minutes to go. Some clutch buckets and just all-time moment. I feel like I've seen a few of those UConn ones in tournaments over the years. It was really awesome. And I fortuitously was in New York City. So on the train, as soon as I got in there, futures bet on UConn at 16-1. So I got a little piece, not quite the 80-1 pre-tournament, but I got a little piece of UConn now, and they did good. I should have doubled up when they were down at halftime, but I'll take it. And at least now I got a little ticket for at least one more game.
Yeah, attaboy. I think you could have gotten them 80-1 live against Duke. And yet Dan Hurley, just whatever devil he worships, just keeps looking out for him in this tournament. No, that moment, I'm so taken aback by the poise of the UConn players collectively in that moment. I mean, everyone's kind of reacting to what a boneheaded mistake by Duke. I want to be clear. If you watch that play, it was the right decision for that pass to be thrown. He had 2 wide open guys under the basket. If you just complete the pass, the game is over. Everyone wants him to hold the ball. You don't hold the ball up 2 with 5 seconds left, and all of a sudden you might miss a free throw and you never know what happens. Yep. So that's right. I just think it was flawless execution. They sold out for the steal. And then even once they get the steal, it's Caravan, who is a 4th-year senior, who is now about to start his 5th Final Four game in a 4-year career, who I think anybody else in the sport panics in that moment and throws up some junk with 4 seconds left. Instead, he just made the right basketball play, swung it back to the freshman, Braylon Mullins, who from Indiana, by the way, one of Indianapolis's best products over the years, sends the Huskies back to Indianapolis for the Final Four. It's pretty storybook to me, and that's been the way it seems to go for UConn these last couple of years. But no, I'll have more on college basketball Final Four thoughts later in the show. We'll do our college corner, which will essentially act as our full Final Four preview before I hit the road tomorrow to travel to Indianapolis to cover my favorite event in sports. In the meantime, we've got a bunch more for you on the radar for this show. We'll give you the NBA slate for tonight. We'll give you MLB, the best value in the night games. We've got hockey rolling on, and we've got the Texas Valero Open in the golf world as well. But first, we got to tell you, you see it above you on the screen right now, 3-day free trial, Dimers Pro, only on the app. Take advantage. I use the Dimers app every single day. Makes it incredibly easy to get all of these insights in real time. You're going to want to get it. And the best way to try it out, if you haven't used Dimers Pro before, is to see what it's working with for 3 days. If you like it, we've got a promo code for you that can help save you some costs down the line. You will like it. Hit our line when you're ready. But Dave, there we go. Let's go to the NBA first. It's a huge 9-game slate tonight. Where do you want to start?
Yeah, too many games, I think, to dive into all of them. Again, I can't feel like I say this all the time, but we would do a full show if we really broke them all down like that. And other than just listing off every single thing that stands out, there's no real way to cover them all. So we'll look at a few. One thing, just feel like this is a good plug for the Dimers app that I did want to look at tonight was Joel Embiid, because he was projected atop the board, 31.5 points, I believe. He was plus money for 30 plus. He's been great since he came back from his latest injury stint, 28, 30, 29, I believe, in 3 straight games. Ended up being ruled out But that's obviously now updated, and the app makes it just super simple to open and see the players immediately affected by his absence. But similarly, we'll look at some players who are shining in the Dimers app, and I got to figure out a way to incorporate the app more into this podcast instead of just screenshots. But casting my phone and then navigating the app is a whole other process that I'll have to figure out. So we'll go here into the projections, and I'm basically going to look at 3 individual players. Do I have 3 or 4? 3 individual players, and then one, I guess, category we'll look at. But one thing I want to look at is Jason Tatum's rebounds here. You look, we've got him for 8.6, which is a top 10 mark or so of the night. Since he came back, he's got 6 double-doubles in 11 games. He's only scored under 20 in 4 games, including his first game back. So his points upside is just as it ever was, pretty much. And his rebounds are, I mean, really effective. Like he's getting more than just 10 in a lot of these games. We've got him for 24.5 points tonight. So basically 25 and 8.6 rebounds, just right around 9. So there's a few options here that stood out to me when looking at the lines. 9 boards was plus 101 on DraftKings when I was doing the research, which is pretty much right what we have them at. So that seems like a solid straight. Double-double at plus 147 on DraftKings, not a bad look either. Although his only double-doubles have come via rebounds, doesn't have a single one with assists, and he's plus 167 for 10-plus boards. So you don't even need to worry about the points on the, off chance that he has a bad shooting night. You can just take the 10-plus boards, which is even better odds than the double-double. Or if you want just the Dimers model value, I guess 8.6 for 9+ seems pretty solid. You could build his double-double at 20 points and 10-plus boards, or even the 9+ boards, and get a little bit better than the 167 as well. I think it was 212 for 20 points and 10. If you want to just, take him just a touch over 25 and 10, you get pretty good, about plus 240. So a few ways to play Tatum tonight. I do like the rebounds on its own. 9+ seems pretty good when you're getting even money. If that's gone, I might be inclined to just take the double-double. Think he gets one more board. He are middle of the pack versus rebounds over their last 15. Better versus forwards. But I think it's worth noting that the Celtics allow the second lowest field goal percentage, opening up rebound chances. I think they were opponents shooting 37.5%, something like that. Maybe it was very low 40s. I can't remember. I should have put that in these notes, but second best, I think. So yeah, very good matchup there for Tatum, I think, as far as attacking the boards. Similar angle going to the top of the board here for rebounds with both of these guys. Karl-Anthony Towns, you got Knicks versus Grizzlies here. Hopefully this one isn't too good to be true, because no team has allowed more rebounds over their last 15 games than Memphis at total of 50.1 per game. Wizards are second with almost 4 fewer, which is a pretty big gap over that sample size. Cat is our top projected rebounder tonight at 13.3, just below Jokic at 13.5. He's at what I would call very playable odds of minus 112 for over 12.5 boards. In the 8 games that he's hit 13+ this month, he hit 14+ in 7, 15+ in 5. He doesn't just spike. He can hit those numbers in these particularly favorable spots. He grabbed more boards in March than he did in any previous month this season. He's in his best stretch as far as grabbing rebounds. He had 18 and 17 versus OKC. They ranked 22nd. He had 16 versus Washington, who ranked 29th. 15 versus the Nets, 14 versus the Pelicans. Both those teams are bottom 10 versus rebounds. His ladder starts at 14+ and plus 142 if you want to go above the 13, which is, like I said, at pretty playable odds of minus 112. I kind of like him for, 15, 16, 17. I don't know how high I'm going to go on him tonight. I'm going to play the 3 of these guys that I talk about in some sort of ladder parlay. Maybe just take their first plus money entry each and call it a day.
I like that.
Maybe step it up one step for a very, very small, like 0.05 unit or something. But then our last guy, top of the board for boards, Jokic versus the Jazz. Another one in an almost identical spot with our top projected rebounder against the 3rd worst rebounding defense over the last 15 games. 13.5 projected, as I mentioned. I guess the biggest concern here might be the blowout potential in Nuggets versus Jazz. Got to decide if you want to risk him playing potentially only 25 minutes. However, I will point out that these teams played twice in the past month, including just this past Friday. They were 3 and 4 point victories for Denver. First meeting back in December was a while ago and a 23-point win. Jokic played only 29 minutes in that one, still put up 14, 13, and 13. So just under this mark here, but he's an absolute force even in short stints. I mean, it might not be worth a bad idea seeing what his first quarter rebounds are like. We've seen the guy almost get triple doubles in the first quarter before. I sometimes wish we had those types of projections, but you can apply the Dimers projections to that. If you think he's going to have a big night in a blowout, just go for him early, kind of like I used to do with the first quarter stuff in the NFL. But if you're looking at his boards and aren't concerned about blowouts, we've got him at 13.5. 14 plus was minus 102 on FanDuel before the show. That's almost even money. In just his last 10, he's only gone under 14 twice. He's gotten 15 plus 6 times. That seems like a pretty good floor maybe to start. And he's gotten 20 plus twice. So I think I might just go for 15 if you're playing it straight, and then play his 20 plus as a secondary lower unit. And if he gets both of those, you'll be happy. But I do think it's worth noting that if you try to ladder him 16, 17, 18, until you get to like 19, 20, the gap between odds from one to the next just isn't even that much. You're going from like plus 160 to plus 220 on some of them, which can be, how do I want to say this? You can over invest on a ladder because you're trying to stagger your units, and it gets harder to stagger when the odds don't quite give you the return that you're looking for on those alternate lines. So those are my 3 rebound guys tonight. Our top 2, and then Jason Tatum from the top 10. Pretty solid matchups for Kat and Jokic, and then I think some kind of hidden numbers, I guess, for the Celtics for Tatum with the field goal percentage, despite the decent rebounding defense of Miami.
Board man gets paid, Dave. That's what we're after. We're after some rebounds. The great Kawhi Leonard once said. Okay, what if we want to spice it up a little bit, though? Because I'm a shooter, Dave. All I do on the basketball court is stand in the corner with my hands up. So give me some guys that are going to make some shots tonight.
Yeah, so this is kind of fun because there's a lot of bad three-point defenses playing tonight. In fact, the 3 worst are all playing: the Kings, Pacers, and the Bucks. Top projected three-point shooter in those games is Reed Shepperd versus the Bucks at 3.2. He's actually up from 2.9 earlier, so I like what I see here. Matas Buzelis, where is he? Down here, 2.6 against the Pacers. And then Quickly would have been our top guy here for the Raptors against the Kings, but he's probably been fully ruled out by now. He was questionable. He's been out for a week. He was in a boot. I didn't think he would play anyway, so I prepared for this. But the Raptors are also the 5th worst defense. So we can go to the other side. It's very rare that we tail the Kings and don't fade them directly. But we can go to the other side and go with their top projected guy he's a little down here, Malik Monk at 2.2. Or you can look at Jacoby Walter for the Raptors. Lower volume, more like I think this is later season coming on, getting this role here. But Malik Monk 2.2 here. If you take them all for 3 plus, you get plus 533. Do what you will with that. Or when I say all 3, I mean Malik Monk, Shepperd, and Buzelis. That is, not Walter. And I take them for 3 plus each, which is right about where we have them projected. You get plus 533. And I think against these bad defenses, lots of volume, bad 3-point shooting percentage, pretty good chance that some of them will find their spots tonight.
It's also 2 of my favorite college basketball players ever, Reed Shepperd, really? Malik Monk, and then Modest Buzelis, a guy that I wish would have played college basketball. He chose the G League route, and you can't say it hurt him to where he is at in his career now. All right, I love that. We got, what is it, a little over 5-1 for 3 plus each?
Mm-hmm.
Pretty solid.
Yeah, I can assure you I will be doing a round robin of 5 plus for very, very small pizza money, but just in case these guys get hot. When heat checking against a bad team on that defense is just usually in a particular statistical category is a pretty good spot, I think.
Absolutely it is. And Dave, if you want pizza money, well, we're doing a pizza party at my house tonight. So good vibes all around.
Let's go.
Sounds good. All right, let's go to baseball next. As is typical with the MLB, we have a bunch of day games today, so we'll just hone in specifically on the games that are still to come later tonight. But we have some weather concerns. Twins Royals looking like a rain out. Let's hop to the Dodgers Guardians as the other game that will be likely to actually happen tonight. What do you see?
Yeah, so I would like to do a real nice deep dive into baseball on this show. Just has not worked in our favor yet with the daytime schedules. And then finally today we get 2 full games and one of them's going to be rained out. But there's a few things we can look at here. And I'm going to start. I guess I'll just pull up the main game predictions. You might be able to find some slightly better odds depending on which books you have here, because we've seen a little bit of a change. We had a slight edge. It was like 1% on the Dodgers, -1.5, but the probability hasn't changed. So the odds have probably shifted a little bit, but it was like -105, which is pretty good to cover a -1.5 run line when you got Yamamoto on the mound. So I wouldn't be surprised if some stuff has changed those odds. I would look for that. We still obviously have a 52.6 probability for that to happen. That's pretty good if you can get anywhere close within -110 or so on the run line. And the pitching matchup is certainly in favor of the Dodgers tonight. Gavin Williams versus Yoshinobu Yamamoto should lean pretty heavily in favor of production for Los Angeles. Williams got beat up by righties last year, 1.49 whip, 10 home runs and 76.1 innings pitched. Also had a huge issue with walks, gave up the most in the American League, and he gave up 6 in his first start this year. I will note earlier, at least, let's check the props. We had an edge in him to go under 2.5, which is, not a short line for walks. Do still have that, but it's only 52.5%. And that edge exists because it's plus money. There's the books are pricing in that he is most likely going to toss at least 3 walks or issue at least 3 walks, I guess you'd say. I don't think you can take alternate walks anywhere. That would be a pretty wild market and
That'd
something they probably know.
Market. Oh my God.
It would be. It's probably something they know they'd be exploited on, which I'm sure is why it doesn't exist. You could take alternate unders. I'm sure of it. Guy to throw under 1 walk for stupid odds, but you might be able to leverage that in plate appearances. Look at our guys like overall, production from the projections and see which guys are coming up, see which guys have good numbers drawing walks, and maybe try to leverage a plate appearance for a walk from him as a standalone straight instead of, live. You could live bet those, you could take them pregame, but instead of trying to roll the dice on a guy to go under a number that he's had trouble with, maybe try to leverage just 1 or 2 situations in which he might walk one of the batters. Looking at projections. Oh, actually, wait, was that gone? Oh no, because I put it on just walks. There was a pretty good bet here on Yamamoto that I really liked. Let me pull up just that full game, see if it's still here. Yeah, over 18.5 outs. This one pops to me. That would be 1 out into the 6th inning. Cleveland's hitting 188 as a team, 4th worst in Major League Baseball. So it might not take a lot of pitches for Yamamoto to get here. 46% is pretty substantial. Plus 173 is even more substantial. That's a huge plus money edge, almost 10% for him to go over. He threw 6 in his first outing. They're probably going to try to manage some of his workload throughout the year because he's such an important arm for them, and they can win games without pitchers always going super deep. But he was going super deep in the postseason and many outings last year where he was going 7 or 8. So 1 out into the 6th inning doesn't seem so bad against a team that is really struggling to produce offensively. And you're getting, plus 175 is just such good odds on a straight bet that is pushing 50% probability. And then one more thing, let's look at the projections. Sort right by team here. Try to figure out somebody who might pop for the Dodgers. Obviously, Shohei is our top home run probability here, 21.9% for a home run. Much better odds tonight, around plus 230. He was like plus 154 last night, a very similar probability. I think he was maybe 23%. So a really big difference there. Still not a value play. You're almost never going to find value play on these big sluggers. he's still looking for his first home run. Same with Kyle Tucker here, still looking for his first home run, much lower at 16%. Pretty solid RBI percentage. But I like a couple guys right after this to hit a home run. Obviously, 15.7%, 13.9% isn't the longest, but Max Muncy and Andy Pages, one home run each. Their batted ball profiles match up pretty well versus Gavin Williams as far as fly balls and pulling the ball into the air, which is good. Very light wind out in Dodger Stadium tonight, I believe, last I checked, so should be working in our favor there. Some of these games today have quite the opposite, so we're not really up against that. And Andy's not that far from his fair odds at plus 610. He was plus 560 on FanDuel at 14% here. So those are a couple guys I like in the lone night game that we'll probably see. I do really like the Yamamoto play. Obviously, the odds are important there. Its edge is pretty tied to it being plus 173. If you can't necessarily get that, it might not be a play. Maybe look for some other way to utilize that projection for him. Maybe his under on earned runs or hits or something. But it looks pretty good to me. Good value, and he's so good. And this Cleveland lineup is really struggling. So
love it. All right, we need more games at night. That's my takeaway from this. Who do we get on the phone for this? Do we need to call the commissioner?
Yeah, maybe the banana ball commissioner. He might be able to do something about this.
He seems like he can solve anything with a ball and a bat, can't he?
Yeah.
All right. Actually, now that makes me think this is a really stupid tangent off-topic hypothetical, Dave, but I was listening to a different show this week that asked this question. If you took the Savannah Bananas and had them play a 9-inning game against the worst Major League Baseball team, could they win?
Depends if they're allowed to, if they incorporate their fans catching the fly or the foul ball as an out rule. If they do that, like some home field advantage, I think they got a chance against the Rockies or the White Sox.
Yeah, to me, it was either is it banana ball rules or do they get a 162 game schedule? You telling me the Savannah Bananas couldn't beat the Rockies once in 162 games?
Yeah, I think they could. I mean, 162 games, they might go 500 down the middle.
Maybe with how the Rockies are right now, too. You never know. All right, let's go hockey next. We've got 3 games tonight, so a little more to choose from on the NHL slate. Only 2 weeks left in the season. It is crunch time for all of these teams. I think you've got some prop angles for us tonight. Where do you want to start first here?
Yeah, so basically just looking at one goal scorer I like from each game here. We'll look at a value play that the Dimers model has, and we'll look at a top probability just to kind of compare the two. But overall, I think the plays would be the value plays, which we'll pull up all together at the end as a recap or a roundup, rather. And I'll just pull up our predictions as we've been doing, starting with the first game of the night in Canucks versus Avalanche. And sort of like in the NBA and a little bit with Major League Baseball, best versus worst feels like a bit of a theme tonight. Continuing here in the NHL, the Canucks allowed the most goals in the NHL this season. No one has scored more than the Colorado Avalanche. Seems pretty obvious here. Nathan MacKinnon is the superstar. He, interestingly, is actually our second highest goal scorer in this one at 38.9%, behind Martin Nikas, who's at 41.7%. Not too far off from his fair odds of plus 130 on FanDuel. You can certainly go that way if you want the higher probability. He scored 10 goals last month, and he's been very good. He was in the Olympics. He had some goals there, I believe. He's been great alongside MacKinnon, and he's a massive contributor all across the board. But if you want to look for the value, you can go with he's basically tied for third here in the entire game. Valeri Nichushkin, who still cracks over 30%, but at plus 270 would be fair at just plus 220. That's pretty good edge from the model. See here in best props, he should still show up right here at plus 270 on DraftKings, 31.6%, and a 4.6% edge. He's the only one. Oh, and you got Joel Kiviranta for a much longer play, but pretty much the only one on the Avalanche with an edge to score. stands out pretty well. Going to the next game, actually, let's go to Ducks Sharks. Pretty much not the opposite here, but you got basement versus basement in terms of defense and goals allowed, rather than a best versus worst matchup. But both teams ranked in the top half of their conference in offense as well this season. They were kind of getting over the hump of their perceived badness, I suppose. The Sharks are actually over 500 for once, and they've had some pretty good scoring opportunities behind some of their young stars like Macklin Celebrini. You could go either way in this one, but the Ducks are missing their top contributor, Cutter Gauthier, who just got injured, and that opens up an edge on Chris Kreider here. He's at 33.9%. Last I saw, he was plus 245. We'll see if that's held. Almost plus 240, just about the same. 4.5% edge here. So you're getting a decently high probability versus a bottom defense. Very good combination. If you want probability alone, it would be Macklin Celebrini, as mentioned earlier, 42.6% right here, almost at fair odds at plus 130. Actually, that plus 130, that might be because he was 40.9% earlier, which is why I had him almost fair. But so he's actually very close, if not right at fair. Kid's a stud, 9 goals last month. Couldn't really go wrong with him either. Also shined in the Olympics. And then in the third game, Kings Blues, we've got teams who are adjacent in the standings. They've scored the exact same amount of goals. Their goal differential is a discrepancy of minus 10 this season, which means they're pretty well matched overall. But that also means we should ride the hot hand and fade the other side. Kings have dropped 7 of 10, allowed 4+ goals in 5 of those games, 6+ twice. The Blues are almost the exact opposite, 6 and 4 over their last 10, giving up 3+ goals just 3 times. Projected goalies favor the Blues in their current form, with Binnington playing much better lately, allowing only 1 goal in 3 of his last 6 games. I think value is on Dylan Holloway. If you check in our props here, he's the only. Oh, got Justin Hull here for another big long shot. So if you want you can basically go favorite, value, or long shot in almost each of these games. So Dylan Holloway at plus 250, 32.6, another very similar edge. So you got 3 guys all right around 32, 33%, all right around a 4% edge, all right around the same odds. Very good kind of correlation there, I think, seems between the model's predictions. If you want the top guy in this one, it's Artemi Panarin, who is 37.6%, and that's right around fair at plus 165, his best odds that I saw before. So overall, my recommendation would be these 3 straights from the model: Chris Kreider, Dylan Holloway, Valeri Nichushkin, or you could play them as a little lotto. They're plus 4,500 about for that long shot. All 3 edges. All of these are also right at the top of the props. If you look at them overall, you'll just see that they're sitting right up here. Well, not overall because we got all these shots on goal props, but if you look at just goals, you'll see them all right here at the top. And then you also have Brock Boeser in here against the Avalanche, which you could certainly go that way. Call me crazy. I think it makes sense to target the best offense against the worst defense, however, rather than the other side, especially when the probabilities are almost the same. And then if you want, of course, we got some long shots of many varieties all the way down the board, if you like. But I like those 3. If you want, you can have fun with the favorites as well. Panarin, Nikas, and Celebrini is also not a bad little 3-leg goal scorer parlay. We just don't have an edge on them, but they're all pretty close to fair, which is not bad for top scorers, guys who are that proficient in scoring.
No, I feel like you don't even need a crazy edge for that to be appealing. You know, when you get the top guys on a slate like this, that's enough when you see the numbers where they're at tonight. So,
yep. And you had 7 goals for Panarin last month, by the way, 9 for Celebrini, and 10 for Nikas. So if you go the top guys, pretty good production riding into April.
Absolutely. All right, there you have it. That was 3 sports in like 20 minutes from Dave. Pretty nice. Great coverage. So blessed to have Dave breaking down everything the model unveils for us.
I'm trying to cut down, man. Anyone who's watched this show knows I can go way too long sometimes. I'm trying to cut down. We're hard hitting here. But then I get through it. I'm like, oh, I didn't talk about Valeri Nichushkin enough. I should have looked up 6 more complementary stats. So I'm trying here to keep things nice and condensed, especially when we got such a wide variety of things to get through before tonight's slate gets started.
Listen, that's the thing. I'll never complain because I end up coming away with like 17 things I'm betting every single night just by doing this episode with you. I love it. All right, it's my turn to jump in. It's the College Corner Final Four Preview Edition. If you don't mind, my friend, could you screen share your way through this for me?
Yes, absolutely. Let me make sure I'm not going to pull up the wrong stuff here because just clicking through so many things. We'll start here in NHL as we go to college basketball.
Beautiful. All right. As I alluded to at the top of the show, I am going to be on site in Indianapolis this weekend at Lucas Oil Stadium. It should be a blast. Indianapolis, one of the best cities for a sporting event like this, in my opinion, in America. It's all basketball, and we've got four worthy champions battling it out here in what should be one of the more high-level Final Fours that we have seen in a very long time. Illinois and UConn is the early game on Saturday. And you can click into the predictions hub for us, and we'll just take a closer look at everything the model forecasts here. This line has jumped around a little bit. This opened, I want to say, at Illinois by 1.5. Then it was bet up to Illinois minus 2.5. I think it got all the way up to Illinois minus 3.5. Back down to 2.5. I think some money is going to come in at UConn if we stay at 2.5 here. The latest that I saw actually just right before recording of the show was that it was 1.5. And look, the Dimer site updates in real time. So it may have moved since the show started yet again. Won't be the first or the last time that we've seen this happen to a Final Four line where it just keeps teeter-tottering all week. What I would say in terms of a preview here, pretty much all analytical backs Illinois to win by a more sizable margin than a 2.5 or a 1.5 point spread. Ken Palm likes Illinois by 4. Obviously, you see our projected final score here at Dimers is 70-68. I think in general, there's a little bit of a Dan Hurley tax, which is applied to the preview of this game because he's the best coach in the sport, and UConn has an absurd record at this stage of the tournament throughout his tenure. They just do not lose when they get here. They rarely fare to cover the spread when they get here. And we are talking about an Illinois program that is led by Brad Underwood, that is in the first Final Four of his tenure. And when these two teams met earlier this season, Dan Hurley beat him by 13 points at Madison Square Garden. And when these two teams met in the Elite Eight 2 seasons ago, there was a 30-0 run in the middle of the game as Dan Hurley's second national champion in as many years just dismantled one of Brad Underwood's best teams. So look, the coaching element of this is very real. And the thing about Illinois this year is they've constructed a team that doesn't really require many in-game adjustments from their coaching staff. They have a team of professional basketball players, many of them European, who are highly skilled, plus playmakers at every single position. They are the biggest team by average height in all of college basketball. And they've got a lottery pick freshman in Keaton Wagler that never turns the basketball over. They've resulted in this mismatch hunting offensive scheme that just, it kind of defends Brad Underwood from himself. Because when you've got 5 guys that are that high IQ, you don't need the coach to tell them what to do. They just kind of problem solve on the fly. And I think it's worked. This Illinois team to me has been better in this tournament than this UConn team has. There's been dry spells in each UConn game. Even the comeback win against Duke started from a very dismal first half. And then against Michigan State, the game before, they almost blew a 19-point lead, and Michigan State led late in that game. So, we show a 56% chance that Illinois wins on the money line. If you go to the best bets tab for us just to take a quick look, basically, directly, 0 edge, 50% probability on the dot with the spread where it currently is. That feels right to me. I think they've nailed it. And if it gets back down to 1.5, I would show a little value on Illinois. The one side that I do like pregame is the site that has just the smallest edge that you'll see here. It's the under 139, 53% probability, and just under a 1% edge. The way I'm envisioning this game playing out, though, UConn is very slow-paced, a very half-court execution-based offense. They take away transition, and that's exactly what Illinois is comfortable with. If you look through this NCAA tournament run for the Illini, they played a 55-possession game against Iowa. They played a 58-possession game against Houston. Like, the NCAA average is in the high 60s to low 70s, and these games are just ground to a halt. Illinois loves that because that's where their, maybe slower, bigger, less athletic players can shine in half-court situations. I think possessions are going to be at a premium in this game, and if we see a UConn drought, which we have seen even in their wins, I think that's where Illinois could create some separation, and it works in tandem with the under. So for me, I am picking Illinois to win this game as much as it breaks your heart, Dave. If I'm betting it pregame, I'm actually just going to play the money line at -130, despite there being a negative edge. I'd rather not flirt with any points here as the number keeps fluctuating. -130 doesn't deter me as a game in terms of just picking the outright winner. And then I do like the under. That will be on my pregame card. Even if UConn doesn't have a dry spell, it's going to be such a slow game. And if they do go cold as they have, I think you see Illinois capitalize.
You are slightly breaking my heart that is already torn in two, Greg, because obviously the UConn fan in me wants to see them win, at least advance. The Dimers man in me wants to see our dark horse of Illinois, who was 25-1 that we called out as an edge play, bring it home for the model. So I am truly torn in two here. There will be no scenario which I'm truly happy on Tuesday's show. I will be sad in one way or another. Hopefully somebody's at least making money off it, though. That's the point.
Well, if you did jump on that Illini 25-1 pre-tournament when we identified it, you've got some pretty great hedge opportunities at this point.
Looking pretty good. We also said the week before that they were you called out they were going to be favored, them or Houston. It was right, whoever played Iowa.
Yep.
And they were like +2 something to make the Final Four, and then they were -270 in the next game.
Yep.
So, big difference.
It's been a profitable team down the stretch of the season in a variety of ways, that's for sure. And look, this is Illinois' first Final Four in forever, back to 2005. I think especially it being a local Final Four, local-ish in Indianapolis, that's an easy trip for their fans. I think you're going to see a pretty huge crowd that should be rooting for Illinois in this game. No disrespect to the 2 of the last 3 national champion UConn Huskies. All right, let's look at the second game. Dave, I'm a Michigan fan. You know this, but even if I wasn't a Michigan fan, I would be billing this game as maybe the most exciting tournament game on paper that we've seen in my life. This is quite literally Ken Pomeroy's highest rated combination of teams that have ever met in a college basketball game ever.
Wow.
It is quite literally metrically the strongest product that has ever been on the floor. And basically anywhere you look, we expect a dogfight. And our model backs that up. 79-79 is the projected score here. Look, I have spent 3 days racking my brain on how I think this game is going to go and trying to parse through what is my personal bias as a Michigan fan versus what respect I have for this Arizona team. And I really can't make sense of it. I think you can talk yourself into either side here, and I'm not surprised that we expect this to essentially be a deadlocked game. On the money line, Dimers does give Michigan a slight edge, and I think that's probably the right answer. I think if you were to sort of stack rank team ceilings and floors in this game, Michigan's ceiling is probably a little bit higher than Arizona's, but Arizona's floor is not far from their ceiling. And then there's a big drop to Michigan's floor. And the question is, can Arizona do anything to frustrate Michigan or make them uncomfortable? And the more I look at the profile, the answer is no. Michigan loves up-tempo games. Arizona is going to run at a frantic pace. You look at all 3 of Michigan's losses, one of 2 things have happened. Either the team has grounded them to a very, very slow pace, or they've bombed threes. And Arizona does not do either. They do the opposite. They run, and they are one of the lowest volume three-point shooting teams that college basketball has ever seen. So in those 2 main ways, it's kind of feels like Arizona will be drawing dead into what Michigan takes away best. Their interior defense, their paint dominance has been on full display all season. Now, Arizona's has 2. But I think Michigan's rebuttal to that being taken away is a little bit stronger. They've got better passers on the perimeter. They're more comfortable, more willing shooters, and they can get hot from three a lot more. We've seen that more this year than Arizona. The other big variable in this game is Michigan's superstar, Axel Lendeborg. He was the best player in the transfer portal. He is quite literally an NBA starter that is playing college basketball for Lord knows what reason. And they call him Dominican LeBron. He's playing like that in this tournament. His usage rate is through the roof. He's just putting up numbers like 29, 9, and 4 like it's nothing. And there is no matchup for him in the country. Now, Arizona probably has two guys that will spend time on him that maybe are better suited to guard him than anyone Yaxel has seen. One is Ivan Karchenkov, the freshman international player who is 6'7", 230 pounds. And then the other is Koa Pete, another freshman, American kid who is a winner, who's won a lot of championships at the prep levels, 6'8", 235 pounds. It's a big ask for two freshmen to handle the 23-year-old Axel Lendeborg in a moment like this. If they can frustrate him at all, I think you definitely lean towards Arizona's poise and composure. They make less mistakes. But if Yaxel is comfortable, like I said, it's going to be an up-tempo game. I really do think Michigan's best is probably the best unit here. So that's a really long-winded way to say this should be an amazing game. I can't convince myself with enough conviction to play either side coming in. I will say, as far as the line, I am a bit surprised that it's not just a pure pick 'em. I think Arizona as a 1.5 point underdog is not where I would set it. And if you just want to blindly take the plus money on the underdog to win here at plus 105, I think there's enough reasoning to talk yourself into either team getting plus money at this point in the season, feeling crazy. But I will say this, there's a couple fun ways to bet this game in terms of props that won't show up on the Dimer site, but you can bet, the largest margin in this game to be under a certain threshold. I also like the eventual outcome of this game to be within 5 points either way. It's plus 140. If you really think this is a game that's going to come down to the wire and you see both teams at their best, that's a fun way to play it. We really haven't seen either team get ran out of the gym. Anytime they lose a game, it's come down to the final possession. That's just how good they are. So, again, there's some cute ways to bet this in terms of just a watching experience. Get ready for a classic. And if I did have to talk on the total just quickly, I would lean to the over. We show a negative edge, so I can't in good conscience recommend betting that. But 50-50. There's just a slight probability edge, 50.2% that it leans over. Again, this is just going to be a crazy high possession game. These are two of the very fastest teams in the country that feel that their biggest advantage is to run, and wear the other team down. It's going to be a battle of wills, a battle of talent. And expect a classic if both teams play well. Your guess is as good as mine. What happens?
Yeah, it's great analysis, Greg. I mean, obviously, you're the Michigan fandom in you, and you feel that Arizona doesn't have much of a chance. It is practically a coin flip here. I think if I'm just from a neutral, no dog in the fight, I would lean the money line over the plus 1.5. I mean, it seems like a big probability difference there, 54.8. and then 48.2, but to cover plus 1.5, there's only two single scenarios in which that can happen, which is win or lose by exactly 1. And you can tell that lose by exactly 1, if they have a 48.2% chance to win, is only about 6% there or so in simulation. So you're better off taking, even though 54.8% is larger, of the two scenarios in which you can end up in that pool, you get a little bit better value taking the money line with the larger probability.
Well, that's almost just looking at these percentages to do some quick on the fly analysis too. If we sort of assume, there's a 6% gulf between an Arizona win and Arizona losing by 1, we're assigning a 6% outcome to that one specific point discrepancy. Back to that prop I talked about within 5 points either way. Yeah. I mean, extend that out, basically 9 additional point outcomes. And I'm not saying this is exactly what the simulations will say, but if there's a 6% outcome of that close to a deadlock, I'd assume you're assigning 6% to a tie score, 6% to Michigan by 1. So I think it adds up pretty quickly. And again, these are undeniably the best two teams in the country. It's a treat that we get this game. I think some people would say they wish it was for the national championship, But I think, you know, outside of looking for reasons to sort of confirm whatever preconceived notion you had on a team, there is no separation between these two teams. It's going to come down to who plays better. And I think the Dimers model's probabilities back that up, which is good to see.
Can't wait. If it is, in fact, Michigan, UConn, I'll have to text you. We'll have to get another little wager on the line. We won't be able to do it on the show because the games will be over the weekend, but we'll come up with something. We will have to. Just another clash in a major sport on the show between us. We got something going here.
If it's Michigan, UConn, I'll just send flowers to your residence, Dave, and congratulate you on being the national champion. I want no part of Dan Hurley in a national championship.
Oh, thank you. I'll take those.
All right, cool. Right. So that was our full Final Four preview. With the national championship being Monday, I'm not sure that we will have another full episode of this show, although we should be able to do some quick analysis and maybe get a short video up somewhere from Dimers before that Monday championship. So Dave and I will talk offline, but stay tuned for that. In the meantime, make sure you subscribe to this show so that you can get all of our updates in real time as each of these sports progresses closer to the championships. College hoops is next on the line. And also get Dimers Pro. Get your 3-day free trial only on the app. Try it out. If you're a college hoops fan like me, there's no better time to start a 3-day free trial than now before these Final Four games get done. So there we have it. Let's go to golf next. It is the Valero Texas Open. However, first, it was a long shot last week. Gary Woodland, who came through in the Houston Open.
Yeah, 106 or 20 to 1. Sorry, my banner disappeared and it's giving me a fit. Yeah, 120 to 1. Did not have him on the radar. Not a whole lot going for us in that particular event, but some really good results in recent weeks. So we're looking to get right back in the winner's circle. And it's the tune-up before the Masters. So TPC San Antonio's Oaks course is next on the docket. 7,438 yard par 72. Very tough course, carved through the canyons just north of the city. It's kind of a fun location. Really dense trees, thick rough that is reportedly an inch taller than last year. Elevated greens, tough pin locations, really, really tough test on the tour. Precision off the tee and sharp approach play are non-negotiable here. You got to be accurate with the driver. You have to be able to clean up your shots. If you watched this last year, the final round was brutal. It was windy, rainy, cold. It's going to happen again throughout the weekend. There's going to be rain. There's going to be cold and wind, possibly in the final day of the forecast. Obviously, that's always in flux, so you have to keep your eye on it. But it might be just as important for these guys to survive the conditions and advance than even making birdies, trying to just avoid bogeys, which is a big stat here, bogey avoidance, and good scoring on those longer holes like the par fives is also very important. As mentioned, stakes can't be higher. Masters is next week, and the winner of this tournament earns their bid into the Masters. It's the last spot on the line. Obviously, if they're not already in, they'll win they'll earn their entry into Augusta. 8 of the top 20 in the world are here. Colin Morikawa withdrew yesterday, so it was 9. Now it's 8. Still a stacked field, though, and whoever wants to get that final spot is going to have to dial in. Stat-wise, as I mentioned, approach play, par 5 scoring, bogey avoidance, accuracy off the tee, all very important to grind out the week here in South Texas and try to get that coveted last Masters spot. So let's move to the value as I pull up the predictions, and we'll just look at our best bets to win and a couple guys further down the board. Another one that's pretty top loaded at the top of the board for value, and looking at the top 3, you see Tommy Fleetwood, Russell Henley, Robert McIntyre, all with an edge. Colin Morikawa was right around here. I think he was 5.2%. Hideki Matsuyama was 5.0% before that. Odds did get shaken up a bit by Morikawa dropping out, which was kind of unfortunate because we had a little bit better on all these guys. Henley was as long as 22 to 1 before that. So a little disappointing there, but we have made up for that drop with him in one way, which I will get to shortly. So let's just break down these top three here with Tommy Fleetwood. 13.8% win probability here. That is up from, I want to say it was, no, that was, sorry, it was 12.2%. Russell Henley was 9.4. He had a very nominal increase. 12.2% for Tommy Fleetwood. So he got 1.6% of Colin Morikawa's roughly 5% win equity, which is pretty substantial to apply to a single golfer. Would make his fair odds just plus 720, or actually at 13.8%, just like plus 650 or so. So you're getting a really good edge on him here, even though he's the short favorite at plus 1600. The model's favorite doesn't always align with the books, and you have Ludwig Oberg as the favorite at plus 1500. So pretty substantial difference there too. And you look at 8.3% between Tommy Fleetwood, who the model favors, over Ludwig Oberg at 5.5%. Worth noting there. But Fleetwood's one of only 8 players who ranks above average in at least 4 of those key stats that I mentioned: bogey avoidance, driving, approach, and par 5 scoring. He's got 3 top 10s in 4 starts in 2026. He has a T7 here in 2 of his prior appearances. Market's got him nearly double the odds that we have, which is a really great value on a player who checks nearly every box. Some recent putting inconsistency, a little bit of a concern, but he's overall been very good. It looked like he was going to have a meltdown a couple weeks ago, and he rebounded well and finished with another top 10. So overall, Tommy Fleetwood's been really good. You look throughout, you'll find value on him all the way down the board. Huge 70.7% probability to finish top 20, which is almost unheard of for guys that aren't named Scotty Scheffler or Rory McIlroy. So very important to note that there. Russell Henley, he's another one. So we're going to get a little bit of an edge on him with a boost. If you don't have DraftKings, you can get him boosted to plus 1800 at Bet365, where he dropped down to 17-1. So keep that in mind when you're shopping around. He has been really good this year as well. Only one finish outside the top 20, a couple of top 10s as well. T19, T8, T19, T6, T13, all for those good finishes. Quietly one of the most consistent players in the field this year, just kind of searching for that next win. He's 9th on tour in bogey avoidance, 18th in approach. Like I mentioned, both of those are very critical stats here. And his fair price would be just about plus 1,000, so another substantial edge. He's another good ladder play. He was plus money before the Morikawa withdrawal, but 62.4% at almost even money is very big. And then, of course, top 10, top 5 here as well. When you have such a good edge, you're likely to find it all the way through. Robert McIntyre, just 6.1% to win here. Fair odds around 1,500. Ranked 17th in tour this season off the tee, which is very good. Accuracy is very important here. And the tree-lined fairways can get you if you can't land it in the middle. The red flag for him, though, approach. So he's very accurate off the tee, not so much getting closer to the hole. Ranks like 148th on tour there. Pretty concerning where iron's a primary separator. You can kind of maybe offset that because he's ranked 3rd in scrambling. So when he gets in these tricky areas around the greens, he can usually problem solve pretty well there. Pretty credible path to offset some of these deficiencies. We'll see if he manages to do so. He's a pretty good edge here, though. Still lands top 5 overall in here. Fair odds, like I said, around 15-1. So you're getting a pretty good price. Not quite as big of an edge as the other guys. Only one appearance here, T35 in 2022. So course history is limited, but not overly concerning. Matsuyama popped with an edge. I don't have any notes on him. I'll leave it to you to do your own research on him. He's been pretty good this year. He's probably more concerned with tuning up for the Masters next week, where he won a few years ago, and probably like to get back to that. So good edge, but probably not the biggest storyline of the week. And then the long shot here, I want to look at, plus 4,000, not the biggest long shot we've looked at, but Alex Noren, 3.7% win probability, fair odds around plus 3,000. Guy's playing, he's like an interesting brand of golf because his underlying numbers suggest a much better golfer than his results. He's only got 2 top 25 finishes this season, but he has pretty solid history here, a T15 2 years ago, T14, sorry, T15 3 years ago, a T14 2 years ago. He knows how to navigate this course, at least. That is separate from the tough weather conditions we saw last year that are likely to rear their head again. So something to consider. But he's top 40 in accuracy, which is perfect for the demands of this course. He did miss 2 cuts earlier this season, but he's settled into that 20-30 finish range. So you just need him to build towards that breakthrough and finally cut through. If you could mix in some of those top 10s with the mid-tier results like we see with Harry Hall, who the model loves, we'd be pretty happy here. But like I said, really good edge with odds around 30-1. You get him plus 4,000. His odds got longer, actually, after Morikawa withdrew. He was 3,800, I believe, at his best price. So small stake long shot here if you're looking for a little bit of a treat come the end of the tournament.
That's interesting that his odds went the other way without Morikawa.
Yeah, sometimes it's just the books. Just when something shifts in the field, they don't always move in conjunction with one another. But he got a little better, at least at BetMGM. That may not be the case on some of the other books. I don't think he was 38-1 on BetMGM before, so it could be specific there. But his probability went up for us, which is always nice to see. Almost 1% actually, because he was about, let's see, I have it in here, 2.9% before. So
wow, there you go.
Not nothing.
Shop your lines, folks. That's a reminder. Always shop your lines. And but sometimes you're shopping for a specific boost, and we've got one of those right now. Bet365 with Russell Henley. We mentioned that one.
Yep. Just real quick before I get to the boost, it is a top 20 boost. We have tons of value on guys here in top 20. I would very strongly encourage everyone to look into this. Mix up your own little parlays. I mean, these are all really good straights. Obviously, everybody can't finish top 20, but you're getting plus money 57%, plus money 53%, plus 160, 45%, almost plus 200 at 44%. Those are very good straight bets to make based on the value here. And then a couple longer odds guys if you want to do a little top 20 round robin or something. But that's up to you. We have so many golfers in here to take through. I will just cover the 2 in our boost real quick, which is Russell Henley and Tommy Fleetwood. Pretty much talked about them at length already, but 8 combined top 20 finishes through 10 events for these 2 guys this year. Odds could have been a little bit better, maybe if not for the withdrawal, although it's top 20 including ties, so probably not impacted too much. 70.7% for Fleetwood, 62.4% for Henley. Like I said, 8 top 10s or 8 top 20s in 10 events for them this season. Lots of top and T whatevers when I talk golf. I get tripped up a lot, but really good results for these guys. Pretty good course fits here. Literally our model's top 2 favorites to win. We're getting here for top 20. I'm probably going to plan for a top 10 as well. I might do a little ladder of these guys, top 20, top 10, top 5. Just see if you can capitalize on these 2 guys, maybe going head to head all the way to the end. They've been 2 of the most consistent golfers on tour this year without playing in a dozen events each.
Dave, I like it. Get nasty. Let's do it. Let's just go big this weekend. I feel good. We got to build some momentum for the Masters. What better way to do it than this weekend? All right. I'm on Norin for what it's worth. You sold me when I double checked and I'm seeing the move in opposite direction. The odds one way, the percentage is going the other way. I'm like, okay, fire it up. 40-1. Let's go. I see it.
I love that stuff.
Yeah. It's anytime something feels abnormal and it's off the model's data, that's like circle it, play it, and see what happens to me. Okay. All right. Great show today. We jammed a lot in here on a Wednesday, which is not our normal schedule, but we didn't even reveal this at the top of the show. We were both under the weather this week. So first off, credit to you for powering through. Credit to me for powering through. Credit to our listening audience for waiting one extra day for us. We appreciate that. But Dave, let's close the show as always with what else is on Dimers this week.
We've got a good bit of tournament action, as Greg mentioned, 2 Final Four games, and then the championship game this weekend. You'll see the updates all the way up to game time in the app on the website as soon as the second game ends and the matchup is set on Saturday night. We will have our predictions up for the championship. Of course, baseball is back, rolling right along. Lots of day games lately. We're going to hope to try and cut through and find some night slates that we'll be able to do some stuff for on this show, do a little round robin. Dropped a couple in the Discord so far this season. We hit 1 times 2 and then an offer, but we're finding our stride. We're going to get right into that as we learn who's slugging this year. Obviously, basketball and NBA heading towards the playoff pushes. Those are up on site and in the app. Tons of data and stuff in there for you. World Cup coming this summer, not this week, but this year, this impending time frame. We're working hard at work behind the scenes, prepping that stuff. We'll have tons of match predictions. There's a lot of futures up there right now, more futures than we have for actually anything, because there are qualifiers and rounds and groups and all the way up to the championship. We have data and simulations for. So really excited to get into that stuff this summer when we get to that period. But for now, all the mainstays, everything's up on site, futures, daily stuff. And of course, I'm cooking up articles and we're working together to find what we can for you to help you along the way.
Gotta love it. Plenty of help from Mr. Dave every single week. All right. Thank you for listening. Enjoy the Final Four. If you're a college basketball fan like me, stay tuned for more episodes of this show returning next week. Gamble responsibly, everybody. Good luck, and we'll see you then. Listen up, listen up.